Hey friends, this is James. Welcome to Power Yoga. So I want you to find a comfortable cross-legged position to start our class out with. Scooch to the front edge of your sit bones by pulling the flesh away or just taking a step back. And then from the front edge of your sit bones, relax your hands onto your knees, close your eyes, and take an inhale to lift your shoulder heads high in space, lengthening your spine. And as you exhale, just roll your shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. Do that one more time. So inhale, let the shoulder heads lift up high. Maybe you lean forward and then you lengthen straight up. And then exhale, roll the shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. From there, just relax your hands where it feels comfortable. And then the first breath practice we'll move into is Dirga Pranayama. This is a 3-part breath. It's really good for warming up. So just release your air all the way out to empty. Breathe into your low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe into your mid-abdomen for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe all the way to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Once you have your full breath, just relax. And then exhale slowly for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a smooth inhale through your nose, filling from the bottom to the top like you're sipping the air in through a straw. And then on your exhale, take it out your nose, but like you're fogging up a mirror, slowly releasing down to empty. And then I want you to keep this nasal diaphragmatic breath throughout our class. This is called Ujjayi Pranayama, the breath of victory. We also call it the ocean breath because it creates that sound like ocean waves or hollow wind. This breath is your link to mindfulness, drawing the mind into the body, into the present moment, the present experience. So let it be your guide for you during our practice, and just take what works for me and leave the rest behind. Blink your eyes open to a soft gaze up front. And on your inhale, stretch and reach your arms wide and tall. And as you exhale, take a twist over to the right, bringing your right hand behind you and the left hand to the outside of your right knee. Inhale to stretch up tall through your spine, breathe in. And on your exhale, twist from center and just take the gaze back across your right shoulder. Hold your body inside of the twist. And when those exhales roll through, you can feel your body just getting to release a little bit deeper as you stretch out through your spine. Nice breathing. Inhale, reach your arms wide, face to the front of the room. And when the exhale comes, just switch your sides out to now reach the left hand behind you, right hand to the outside of that left knee or thigh. Inhale, lengthen your spine up tall. And on the exhale, twist from center and take your gaze now back across your shoulder. Keep that length up in your spine, roll your shoulder heads away from the ears, open through your chest, and stay with your breathing. Inhale, reach the arms up tall. And on the exhale, draw your hands down into your heart center. That's a reference to the chakra system, and it just means placing your thumbs in front of your sternum. We'll bring it forward into a tabletop. And then to warm up your wrists, turn the insides of your wrists to face forward. Your fingers point back and your thumbs point to the side. You could rock a little light back and forth, massaging out the fingers, the circle of the palm in the hands, or side to side. If you're rocking just lightly, slowly back and forth, you can lean back and just kind of take that roll of your hands off the mat and then gently roll your hands back into the mat. And see if you can do this with your breath. All of the movement, all of the holding with the inhales, with the exhales. Take the back of your hands down into the mat. Fingers can point towards you, or they can point to the left or the right and give a gentle massage into the back of the hands. And then just drop it into hero's pose, so your sit bones back towards your heels, tops the feet are to the ground, and roll out your ankles. Knees together. Rather, roll out your wrists, just moving through your fingers, moving through your arms. Perfect, friends. And then we'll just step up into a forward fold up at the top of the mat. Your feet can be on parallel at hip bone distance. Some folks like to practice with big toes together in space between their heels. From that forward fold, inhale halfway up, so press to your shins, bend your knees a little bit, and then bring your spine parallel to the ground, extending forward. Your hands are pressing to the shins right below your knees, and they're pressing in to help reach the spine forward. Last piece is to tone your shoulder blades gently in towards one another. Find the length through the back of the neck, and allow your chin to pull slightly back in towards your throat. Take one more inhale to this half lift, and on your exhale, refold. We'll create a ragdoll frame. Bring an opposite hand to grab the outside of opposite elbow or bicep, just like this. And then you allow that just to sway side to side or lightly rock back and forth. So the weight of the head's totally released, gaze is behind you. Weight of the torso totally relaxed. And then just finding those inhales and finding those exhales. Make sure your knees aren't locked. We want some softness in them. And if you're working on getting some more flexibility in your legs, if your arms are not past your knees, you could bend your knees a little bit deeper till your elbows go past your knees while you're doing this. And then just release your hands and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, start to roll up to standing. Your head will be the last thing to come up, and when it does, inhale to reach your arms wide, stretch out tall. And on the exhale, bring your hands down into your heart center at standing. Awesome, friends. So we'll inhale into chair pose. Drop your sit bones low, and then reach your arms up in space. Just reaching those sit bones back. And as you're taking that squat, you're dropping the weight down and towards your heels, but then you're strengthening around your knees as we load the weight into the knees. So feel your lower upper legs engaged, your glutes engaged, and your core engaged. Your shoulder blades are slightly toned together behind you, so you're just supporting your spine as you lift up through your chest. Take your hands into your heart center, draw a deep breath in, and then on your exhale, we'll take a twist over to the right, bringing your left elbow to the top outside of your right thigh. If you've got your big toes together, you want your ankle bone, knees, and thighs all pressed together at center while you do this. If you're at hip bone distance, we want the knees to stay at hip bone distance, avoid caving them in or out. And then as you press your hands together, you're stacking your right shoulder over your left, and you're trying to lift your chest, your sternum rather, onto the same level as the knuckles on your thumbs. If your left knee is swiveling forward, line your knees up so your hips are lined up back behind you. And of course, you're with the inhales, you're with the exhales. This is our Ujjayi Pranayama practice, so breath practice. Stay with it. And take the weight to your right foot. On an inhale, bring your arms and your left knee up into one-legged mountain. Focus your gaze on an object in front of you that's not moving and stay with your breathing. Perfect. When you're ready, cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee or thigh.
And then we can take one hand onto the knee and one hand to the heel. You could also do your hands into your heart center. But you're essentially doing a one-legged chair on your right leg, so really support that right knee as the weight goes into it. With your left leg, let your toes flex gently back towards your shin and let your knee gently flex down towards the ground. And if you fall out of it, no worries, just try again. This figure 4, this is a really nice hip opener. Inhale, rise up one-legged mountain. If you want to, you could extend your left leg forward towards the front of the room. We want to avoid leaning back if we're extending the leg forward. It's more like you're pressing forward, so you're pressing off of that right foot, especially digging into the ball of the right foot as you lift up to your left thigh and then reach forward. On an exhale, come back down into chair pose, so plant the left foot, drop those sit bones into it, strengthen around your legs, lift up through the heart. Your arms can go, closer together in towards your ears. You can also open them up wider in chair, more like goalposts, just to where you feel the shoulder blades pulling slightly in. Take the hands into your heart center, in front of your sternum. Breathe in. And as you exhale, we'll take the twist now, opening to the left. Right tricep top outside of your left thigh. Sit bones drop back like you're sitting into that chair. This is our twisting chair pose, so Parivrtta Utkatasana. Again, watch the alignments of the knees in front of you so it lines up the hips behind you. Legs are staying nice and solid as we're opening through the chest. And stay with our breath practice, our breath of victory, Ujjayi Pranayama, that nasal diaphragmatic breath, that ocean breath. You take the weight to your left foot, inhale your arms and your right knee up into one-legged mountain. So mountain Tadasana, one-legged Ekapada Tadasana. And then once you're feeling like you're set up for it, we'll take the figure 4 on this side. So your right ankle over the top of your left knee or thigh. Start to sit back into that one-legged chair. Make sure we're not just dropping the weight into the left knee, but you're really supporting the left knee. Again, you could do one hand to knee, one hand to heel, or hands into the heart center. Let your right toes flex gently towards your shin. Let your heel point out towards the wall. And your knee can gently flex down, or you might even give a little light press down into it, again, opening through that hip. If you were, you're not really able to get your balance in the center of your mat, you could also move to a wall. That's a really great place to practice balance poses. Put a hand out towards the wall, and then you could experiment pulling it away or reaching it back out. On an inhale, rise back up to your one-legged mountain, and then we're going to add the extension to the right leg if you want to do it. So lifting up through your thigh, like a suitcase handles right on your thigh. It's lifting up and then pressing forward. And you're pressing off the left foot, especially digging into the ball of the left foot. On this exhale, just bring your foot to the ground, gather your hands into your chest. We'll inhale to reach up into Tadasana, mountain. And on your exhale, hinge out from your hips and take your swan dive into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, lengthen through your spine, tone the shoulders, and then plant your hands and move back into the top of a plank position. Slowly on your exhale, come halfway down, holding Chaturanga Dandasana. You could also be on your knees with your ankles crossed, just avoid dropping your hips or lifting them up too high. Holding Chaturanga, breathing, leading forward with sternum, elbows tighter towards ribcage. Inhale, press back up to the top of your plank. And then Vashisthasana side plank, we'll take the left hand as our base to begin with. So roll out of the outside edge of your left foot, stack your right over your left. Make sure that your left hand is directly underneath your shoulder. You're not reaching beyond it with your shoulder. Then lifting up tall and staying with that breathing, drawing through the hips into the side bodies here. One more inhale here, and on your exhale, turn down into your plank. And we'll switch up our Vashisthasana, our side plank. So now, rolling onto the outside edge of your right foot, stack the left over the right. Right hand directly underneath your shoulder, left arm lifting up. You could also do these side planks with a kickstand, with your knee below your hip and your toes out to the side. It's a great alternative. Stay with your breathing. We've talked about breath for mindfulness. We've talked about breath for flexibility, breath for balance, and breath for strength right here. Beautiful friends, next exhale, turn into your plank and then slowly lower all the way down to the ground. And we'll move this into locust pose, Salabhasana. So lift the legs, your thighs specifically, up off the ground. And then fly your arms backwards, lifting your chest up off the ground. Your toes are reaching to the wall behind you. Shoulder blades are slightly toned in. Maybe even just a little slight bend into your elbows so they're lifting up in space as your hands reach back. Check you're not lifting your chin, craning your neck, but there's length through the back of the neck, chin slightly back to your throat. And then staying with those inhales, staying with those exhales. Nice, on your exhale, lower down, and then make your way to down dog. You can push up to a plank and shift back, or you can go to a tabletop and then shift back. And as you come to down dog, the distance of your hands to your feet is pretty much the same as plank. You might come in just slightly closer, but I want you to start to walk the dog out, so just to drop the weight down into one heel, while you bend the other knee and just slowly switch in between your left and your right. Spread into the circle of your palm, the knuckles, your fingers, a little bit of a grip down into the knuckles and the fingers. Weight of the head is released. Gaze is behind you. And then imagine there's tennis balls in between your ears and your biceps. And you're pinning those tennis balls into your ears, letting the biceps hug in. Start to just hold this pose. If your elbows are locked, put a micro bend in them. Lift up through your hips and then draw that length down the back of the legs. We'll inhale the right leg up in space, so one-legged downward facing dog. And on your exhale, let's bring the knee over to your right elbow or tricep and hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach back up. And on your exhale, bring your knee over to your left elbow or tricep and hold in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach back up. Now on your exhale, bring your knee into your forehead. Let the back left heel lift high. Send those hips high. 3, 2, 1. One more inhale, reach back up. Now on your exhale, step up into your low lunge position. Get a really long stance from the front of the mat to the back, because we'll rise into warrior 2 from here. Knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Left arm back, right arm forwards. So it's a really nice opening through your legs when you deepen your lunge. You want to support that opening though, so as you're opening out, you're toning your thighs back in. You're connected into both of your feet, gripping down to the ground, supporting the weight you're loading into your right knee, right sit bone underneath your body. And then spine is straight up in space, shoulder head's released, and your gaze does go right out across those front fingertips. Let's take one more inhale here, and then when your exhale comes, take extended side angle pose, so hinge forward, press your right forearm to your right thigh, or the length of the right arm down the inside of the right leg, elbow against the knee, wrist against the ankle, fingers right down almost to the ground. Left arm draws up in space. You could also take your left arm out on a diagonal from your back left leg. Find your breathing. Keep that strength in your legs. inhale the warrior two, but straighten out your right leg. We're going into triangle, trikonasana. So extend as far forward as you can and then tilt down. Your right hand can go to your shin. You could also take the fingers on the outside of the ankle to the ground, or if you have a block, place it to the outside of that ankle. Just like you did in extended side angle pose, if you were reaching straight up, we're doing that here, so opening your wingspan. And then pretend you have a Velcro suit on. Exactly, that's what I said, Velcro suit, and you're pressing your body into a Velcro wall behind you. So rather than leaning forward through your shoulder head, basically you're opening back and up. If your right knee is locked, add a little softness to it. And think about your spine as a crossbar into this pose. And you are lengthening, the right leg is fully lengthened out. It's just a little bit of a difference between locking it and just having that micro bend in it. Inhale to come back up to warrior two, and then a nice counter to that is our reverse warrior. So left hand to your hip thigh or behind you. Right arm lifts up. I like to take the gaze up in reverse warrior. You might go to the side or back down to your back foot. If you came out of your lunge, press into it. And as you're lifting up through your right arm, there's this nice straight line that's going from your hip crease all the way up through your elbow. And then you can bend at the top and reach your hand to the top corner of the back wall behind you if you like. Find your breathing. And then on an exhale, just cartwheel your hands down to a low lunge position. Step back to your plank. You can go to down dog or exhale halfway down. Low cobra or upward facing dog on the tops of the feet. Rooted into your palms, biceps toned in, shoulder heads away from your ears. And from up dog, making your way back into our down dog. Take a couple rounds of breath as we come into that second downward facing dog. Find those alignment points. And then on an inhale, take your left leg back and up in space. Press up through your heel. Pretend you can hit the wall. You can press the wall up behind you with that left foot, with that left heel. That's going to keep us from dropping into our right hip. Exhale, bring your left knee to your left elbow or tricep. It's a three-legged plank. We're here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach back up. And on your exhale, bring your knee to your right elbow or tricep. Shoulders above hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Press back up. Breathe in. And on your exhale, bring your knee to your forehead. Back heel goes high. In for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach back up. And on your exhale, you're going to a low lunge. Get a really long stance so that you can open to your warrior two from that low lunge. And your left knee is bent at 90. And then your left thigh is more parallel to the ground. And again, as you're opening and spreading out into the ground, pull back into center through the thighs. Press down into the feet, particularly the knife edge of that back right foot. Gaze out over your front fingertips. Open equally distant to the front of the room and to the back. Beautiful breathing. And when your next exhale comes, you'll hinge forward and take your version of extended side angle pose. Whether left forearms to left thigh or left arm down the inside of the left leg, whether right arm is straight up or out on a diagonal. Oftentimes I'll see people pop their back hip up when they lean forward. You want to bring that back hip down on level with the left. So as you lean forward, you're pushing away from that left thigh to lift through your left side body. Then inhale to your warrior two, but straighten out your left leg. And when your exhale comes, reach as far forward as you can. Go into triangle, trikonasana. Left hand to left shin, or left hand to block on the outside of the ankle, or fingertips down on the outside of the ankle. or whatever variation you like to work with in your triangle pose. And again, you're pressing your arms, the back of your head and your shoulders to the wall behind you. You don't need to lean back and fall back, but oftentimes I'll just see people leaning forward through their shoulder, through the head. And so that's just a reminder that this is a really big opening pose. Add that micro bend to your left knee if it's not there, so you're strengthening around that left knee joint as you lengthen the leg. Pressing the foot, pulling hips back. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. And on your exhale, take your reverse warrior, right hand to your hip thigh or behind you. Find that nice line, extended line from your hip crease up through your side body, up through that left arm to your elbow. And then maybe that little arch of your hand back in space. Your head could fall back a little bit. Taking gaze up or side of the room or back down to your right foot. Take one more inhale here, and on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down to a low lunge position. Step back to your plank. You could drop halfway, chaturanga. You could go right to down dog. You could do low cobra or upward facing dog on that inhale, and then take it back to down dog on your exhale. Rad. Okay, friends, couple rounds of breath in down dog. You got this. Don't check out, check in. And then we're going to flow breath to movement. So one inhale brings us to a pose, and exhale brings us to the next pose. Inhale, extend your right leg back up, three-legged down dog. And on your exhale, bring your right knee to your right elbow or tricep. Inhale, back up, three-legged down dog. Exhale, knee to left elbow or tricep. Inhale, three-legged down dog. Exhale, knee to forehead, round the back. Inhale, three-legged down dog. Exhale, low lunge. Long stance, inhale, warrior two, left arm back, right arm forward. And then exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, warrior two, but straighten out your right leg with that micro bend. And exhale, take that triangle. Inhale, reverse your warrior, sweeping up with the right arm, pressing deep to your lunge. And on your exhale, cartwheel down, low lunge. Inhale is plank, you can go right to down dog, or exhale halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, tops of the feet in the hands. Exhale, down dog. On an inhale, reach your left leg back up in space, three-legged down dog. And as you exhale, bring the knee to your left elbow or tricep, three-legged plank. Inhale, reach back up, three-legged down dog. Exhale, knee to right elbow or tricep. You got it. Inhale, extend back up. Exhale, knee to your forehead, round your back. Inhale, take it back up. And exhale is low lunge. Get a long stance. Our inhale is warrior two, right arm back, left arm forward. And on the exhale, take your extended side angle pose. Inhale to warrior two, but straighten out your left leg. And on the exhale, find your triangle. Inhale, open up warrior or reverse warrior. And on your exhale, cartwheel down, take your low lunge position. Step back plank on the inhale, you can go right to down dog or exhale halfway, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, up dog, urdhva mukha svanasana. Exhale, down dog, adho mukha svanasana. Excellent, friends. We're going to move into our core work. So shift forward to a forearm plank position. And you can use the edges of your forearms. And then what I want you to do here is we're going to cycle between your forearms and pressing up to your hands for 15 seconds. And then we're going to hold, then go back into the cycle. So on your mark, get set, and go. So you're cycling up to your hands, back to your forearms. And in the core part of class, I throw in some stuff that's just kind of straight from the fitness world, and I love that kind of hybrid with our yoga practice. I love building those core muscles up. Perfect. So when you're ready, hold your forearm plank. Hips on level with your shoulders, staying with your breathing. Gaze to the ground, crown of the head reaching forward. And then 15 more seconds of cycling, pressing to plank, lowering down to forearms. You got it. Almost there. Excellent. So land in a plank on your hands. Shift your hips up to down dog. Breathe in. And then to get to your sit bones, you can do a little hop up or drop to your knees, cross your ankles, and bring your hips forward. Once you get to your sit bones, friends, we're going to take a wide-legged bound boat. So peace sign fingers will grab onto your big toes. Find your balance on your sit bones and then reach your legs out wide. And we want to watch that we're not collapsing in the spine here, curving in, but you're lifting up, creating really beautiful posture. And when you're in a bind, there's this balance between pushing, what I call kicking, and then pulling. Balance between kicking and pulling. If you fall back, you'll go to happy baby, you'll rock up. If you fall forward, just tap your heels and lift back up. Aim like you're doing with a bow and arrow, so reach out through that right leg, and then pull on the bowstring with your left hand back towards your left shoulder. Gaze goes where you're aiming this bow and arrow. Nice, switch that out when you're ready. So now aim the bow with your left hand, draw on the bowstring with your right hand. Okay, and then we're going to do some movement. I call these in and outs. So you're going to bring your knees in, your arms go forward, and on your exhale, you open up into boat. So take this at your own pace. Go for it. And we're going to do, again, we're going to do movement, and we're going to hold and then do more movement. So in and out. It's not about being a speed demon, right? It's about finding your pace that's sustainable. Okay, as you open, find your Navasana, boat pose. Asana means pose, and then that root, N-A-V, we have that in our own language, right? Navy, navigation. So Navasana, you're lifting up tall through your spine, toning your shoulder blades back and in. Knees are bent or legs could be lengthened. Just that spine up at first. You can always take your hands to the back of your legs as well as more support. Okay, back to your in and out. So inhale, bring the knees in. You do round the spine, and exhale as you open up through the arms, open through the legs. Just flowing through space. Breath is your guide. Last couple. Last one. Nice. Take the weight down onto your back, bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around, give a little rock side to side. We've got a little more core work that we're going to go through. So the next one are going to be scissor kick twists. So your legs go out on a diagonal, your hands are behind the base of your skull. And then the movement, so one leg goes straight up as one leg stays on the diagonal, and you twist opposite elbow into the knee that goes up. And you switch between your left and your right. Okay, go for it. And again, movement, hold, movement. Okay, the hold is just your legs in the diagonal. Low back is rooted to the ground. If you want to take from the Ashtanga tradition, press your palms together, fingers extend forward, but shoulder blades tone back. And then back into that movement. Twisting into the knee that lifts up. Perfect. Take a reclined cobbler's pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound eagle pose. The bottoms of your feet come together, the knife edge of the feet are to the ground. Your legs open in a diamond shape, and the weight of your knees is gently opening your hips. Relax the weight of your head, relax your arms. And create that ocean breath sound with those inhales and with those exhales. Okay, last core move. Your legs are straight up, and then reach your arms back. You inhale, and as you exhale, you go for these toe touches. Inhale, lay down. Exhale, lift up. Go for it, friends. Just reaching those arms straight up, lifting the head and shoulders. Gaze goes forward. Okay, and then hold straight up. You could do one hand behind the base of your skull for support, or both arms just reaching right up in space. Feel that flexion through your core muscles and breathe around it, breathe with it. Nice, back to your movement. Okay, bring your knees into your chest, relax your head, grab your hamstrings, and then I want you to rock back and forth the length of your spine a few times. Eventually you're going to lift up onto your sit bones, and then we're going to move into reverse tabletop. So the hands are going to go to the ground, your palms will go to the ground, but your fingers face forward. Palms are underneath your shoulders. Now let your shoulder blades come in, really open up through the chest, roll those shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. Awesome, elbows are pointing right back, and then you're gonna take the heels underneath your knees, step in a little closer, and then lift the hips up off the ground, pressing to heels, pressing to hands. The first step with your head is straight up in space, looking forward. Second step is your gaze lifts up with your chin slightly to your throat. And then the third step, if you wanna go there, would be to drop your head back in space. I prefer to be right at the second spot as I lift up through the hips and find that breathing. And it's hard to remember to lift your hips up while you're here. It's a very challenging pose. Let's do one more inhale. Exhale, release down. Awesome, friends. Cross your ankles, come forward, and we're going to step back into tabletop and just work some cat and cow for a moment. Drop the belly. Inhale, chest lifts, cow. Exhale, drop the head, mid-back high, cat. Take it over at your own pace. And then eventually we meet in child's pose. So you can take the knees out a little bit wider to the edges of your mat. Tops the feet are to the ground, big toes draw together. Sit bones release back to your heels, forehead to the earth, arms out in front of you. So at times in your child's pose, as you're laying there and relaxing the head, you want to let the weight of your body totally relax. And then just use gravity in your breath. And then at times, you can also experiment with, pushing or pulling your way into a stretch like this. So in this case, you could be pulling your sit bones closer back to your heels using those core muscles, those back muscles. And then you could also be pushing forward into your hands so it pushes your sit bones closer back to your heels. But you can weave those passive, active moments. We're here for just a few more rounds of breath, a couple more rounds of breath, so enjoy. And then we'll meet in downward facing dog. So you can go through tabletop or go to plank and then shift back in space. From that downward facing dog, friends, inhale your right leg back up, three-legged down dog. And then scorpion tail on your exhale. Drape the toes to the left as your knee lifts up. Watch that you're not sinking into your left shoulder and that your left heel's not twisting to the side and you're sinking into your left hip. You want a really strong base. Stay right here, or for wild thing, pivot with your left hand and then flip the dog. Your right leg is going to be like bridge pose, your heel's underneath your knee, and then with your left leg it's going to be like side planks, extended. And then your hips lift up like that reverse tabletop, right arm goes forward, and your gaze is up in space, that's my favorite, or your head falls back to look forward. Some folks also do this with the left heel underneath the left knee, so both feet are like bridge pose. Strong with that bottom left arm. Don't drop into it. Lift away as you press. On an exhale, let's spin back. Three-legged down dog. Inhale your right leg back and up in space. And exhale to a low lunge position. From the low lunge, high crescent lunge on the rise. So lift up through your arms. Let your thighs pull into center. Back left heel is drawing forward. Strengthen around that right knee through the strength of your right leg. And then we'll turbo with a baby back bend. So turbo just means lower down to where the knee's hovering off the ground. Really increase the intensity between the thighs. And then for your baby back bend, cactus your arms, tone your shoulders in, and just tilt the chest up in space. Gaze comes slightly up. Find your breathing. Nice, we'll inhale one-legged mountain, so bring the arms and that left knee with you. And then we're taking a figure four from here. We've done this before. Left ankle over your right thigh. Hands to heart, or one hand to knee, one hand to heel. Earlier in class, we did those twists in chair over to the sides. We can do that same twist from figure four. So with left ankle over the right knee or thigh, you're dropping the sit bones low, hands to your heart. Let your right hand guide your left elbow to the bottom of the left foot. You can make a fist with your left hand, open palm with your right, and then gently press in. If you fall out of it, no worries. Try again. Inhale, rise back up, one-legged mountain. And on your exhale, you're going to swim back into your low lunge. Have fun with your balance always, friends. Okay, so from low lunge, we're going to go into pigeon. So just walk your right foot over to the left side of your mat. Drop your knee over to the right, so you make a 7 shape with your legs. Couple alignment points before you fold forward. Top of the left foot's down, and I recommend sliding the left leg back a little bit. And then you can have the side of the right foot to the ground or the top of the right foot to the ground, whatever feels better. The more intense will be the shin parallel to the top of the mat. You can angle it back a little bit. And then when you're you're on your hands in this upward facing pigeon, check that the right knee is to the outside of your right hand. The right knee is over to the side. Your heel is closer over towards your navel. And then from there, we can take that fold to our humble pigeon and just bring the forehead to your hands or to the ground. Check that you're not sinking into your left hip or your right hip. Your hips are on the same level with one another, so the top of your left leg is pointing right down to the ground. And you can think about your right sit bone is pulling or moving a little bit to the back right corner of your mat as your left thigh is pulling a little closer down to the ground on your side. So you can kind of press yourself a little bit into this pose as well. Use that breath. And then just slowly press your hands into the ground, lift up through your chest, and we'll tuck those left toes and lift the right leg back up into that three-legged down dog. You can open your hip and bend your knee a little bit or just bring some blood flow back into the leg as you like. And then find your full downward facing dog, hold on to it, and when the inhale comes, you'll take your left leg up in space, three-legged down dog, and then on the exhale, open the hip and bend the knee, make that scorpion tail. Watch that you're not sinking into right shoulder or right heel is twisting to the side. Pivot with the right hand, flip the dog. So left heel underneath your left knee like bridge pose, right leg extended like side plank. Right hand under your shoulder, lift up through the hips like reverse tabletop. Left arm forward and gaze can go up. Or another variation if you took it on the other side. Stay with that breath, friends. Half of it is finding the pose. The other half is practicing breath regulation, breath control in the pose. And this one's that Ujjayi pranayama. That breath of victory. Beautiful flip back, find your three-legged down dog, draw your left leg up in space, and on the exhale, step up low lunge position. So a high crescent lunge from here, and as you rise up, arms are lifting up tall in space, and then we're letting the thighs tone into center line, that back heel pulling forward. To turbo it, just lower the back knee to hover, increase the strength through your legs. Then for your baby back bend, cactus the arms, tone your shoulder blades in, and then lift up through your chest, lift up through your gaze. One more round of breath. Nice. So come back to regular lunge and then lift up one-legged mountain. Bring arms and right knee with you. Awesome. From one-legged mountain, we're going back to figure four. So right ankle over your left thigh. Hands to heart center. Find one-legged chair with your right leg. And then if you're taking the twist with your hands at your heart, you'll start to bring the right elbow down to the bottom of the right foot. Once it's connected, fist with your right hand, and then open palm of the left can press, and your fingers can even wrap around that right fist. But you're twisting your chest over towards the side, stacking left shoulder over the right. And again, if you fall out of it, no worries, try again. And breathe. So rise up, one-legged mountain, breathe in, and then you're swimming back to your low lunge on your exhale. For pigeon, walk the left foot over to the right side of your mat, drop the knee over to the left. Top of the right foot to the ground, you can slide your leg back or walk it back a little bit. Top of your left foot or the side of the left foot, find the angle of your shin to the top of the mat, and then when you're pressing to your hands and lifting through your chest, your left knee is to the outside of your left hand. Your left heel is closer to the center. Okay, take that fold down to your forearms, head to your hands or to a block or to the mat, and plenty of that breath. You can take that little bit of a spread out through your hips too, so you can think about your left hip is pulling, or left sit bone rather, it's pulling a little bit back into the left, and then your right thighs coming a little bit more down on the right, bringing your right hip a little more down to the right. And just taking those last couple deep, slow rounds of breath here. Nice, and then just press to your hands, lift up through your chest, tuck the right toes, take your left leg back and up, give a little bit of movement through it after you've been folded on it like that. And then last downward facing dog. You can take a little hop up to a seat or just drop your knees to the ground and bring your legs forward and find your seat. Awesome, friends. Quick drink of water. And then seated forward fold, so heels up to the top of your mat with your legs extended. Walk your sit bones back a little bit. Add a little bit of a bend to your knees as you're on the front edge of your sit bones, so your pelvis is tilted ready. You're ready to lean forward. Reach your arms up, breathe in. It's kind of like you're doing mountain pose, but from your sit bones. And on your exhale, hinge out from your hips, dive forward, grab your shins, your ankles, or your feet. On an inhale, just lift your chest and gaze up as if you were riding a road bike. And as you exhale, refold, taking the gaze down, lengthening the spine forward. And then you can add or subtract that bend in your knees as you need to. And that beautiful breathing. And if you're close to touching your toes but not quite there, you could try bending your knees and bringing it in closer. Or you can take like a towel or a yoga strap around your feet and take your hands into the end of the strap. There's something really beautiful when you're in a stretch like this and you can pull when you're in what we call in yoga a bind. Because with that bind, that pushing and that pulling, we're able to pull ourselves a little bit deeper, push ourselves a little bit deeper into the poses. Nice, friends. Inhale just to reach your arms up tall in space. And on the exhale, take your hands into your heart center, to the ground at your sides. Slide your hips up. Plant your feet to the ground at hip bone distance. And then just reach your arms forward and vertebrae by vertebrae roll down to the mat. And once your head lands down, Your arms are reaching down along your sides. Step your heels until your fingers can touch your heels. Plant your triceps to the ground with your elbows bent at 90, your arms reaching up. And then step your shoulder blades in closer to one another as you lift up through the hips. You can interlace your fingers at the knuckles, reach your knuckles towards your heels, and roll onto the outsides of the biceps, bringing shoulder blades in slightly closer. Press down through the hands, down through the arms, through the head. Lift up through the hips, press down into the heels, a little bit of a grip through your feet, and find your breath in this bridge pose with the hands in this bound position. And this is the easiest pose to see with a diaphragm breath, how your belly rises and falls when you breathe. Last round of breath. And then exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down. Peace sign fingers to your big toes for happy baby, or hands to the edges of your feet. Knees open wide, and then knees bend so that the bottoms of your feet are pointing up to the sky. Ankles are stacked above your knees. Draw down on the frame with your arms, so pull down on the feet and get your low back into the floor or as close as you can, and then gently rock side to side. And we want the weight of the head relaxed here, weight of the head released out. And with that, breathing. Okay, take your left leg flat out to the ground in front of you, hug your right knee up to your right shoulder, and then on an exhale, we'll twist. So left hand grabs your right knee, pulls down over to the left, so your body rolls onto the outside edge of your left hip, and then your right arm reaches to the right. Gaze is out over your right fingertips, right shoulder is drawing down towards the ground. Inhale will fight a little bit against a twist, but exhales will release you deeper into the twist, just like when we were doing that seated twist right at the beginning of class. Nice. Come onto your back. Reach and extend your right leg flat out in front of you. Draw your left knee to your left shoulder. And then breathe into it. When your exhale comes, we twist. Right hand draws your left knee to the right, rolling onto the outside edge of your right hip. Reach your left arm to the left. Gaze out to the left. Left shoulder gently drawing towards the earth. And then just letting those inhales and those exhales do the work inside of the pose. So this limb of yoga we're practicing is Hatha yoga. And it's the asanas, it's the postures that we put our bodies into. And then while we're in there, we're practicing that breath control, pranayama. Prana is breath or life force, yama is regulation or control. So asana plus pranayama.
And then just roll onto your back, off of your side. Bring your knees into your chest. And give yourself one last rock, massaging out the hips, low back, and the sacrum. And then we're ready for corpse posture, Shavasana. So if you need to add on layers of clothing to make yourself comfortable, or bring a blanket or something behind your head or over your eyes, this is the time to do it. We'll be here for a few minutes. You just relax the weight of the legs, the feet. Relax the weight of your arms. Close your eyes. Let the weight of the head be nice and heavy to the ground. And then let go of controlling your breath. Let your body take back over on that. And then the idea with this corpse posture, this Shavasana, is you have completed the practice. You have put your body through its paces. We've practiced mindfulness. We've practiced strength. We've practiced flexibility. We've practiced balance. And then we get ourselves to this last pose where we just let it all release. I'll bring us out of this in just a couple minutes, but just enjoy the stillness. So slowly bring life back into your body, moving your fingers and your toes. Take a full morning stretch, reaching from the front of the room to the back. Roll out your ankles and your wrists. Deepen your breath. Roll the weight of your body onto your side into a fetal position, curling up. Let the weight of your head just relax to your arm. From our corpse posture, we come into this fetal position, so just signifying the beginning of the cycle. And then I'll invite you to come to a cross-legged position, Sukhasana, easy pose. Finding the front edge of your sit bones, so pulling the flesh away or walking back. Creating length in your spine and closing your eyes. You're welcome to end practice with any pose that you like. Sukhasana, I love it because you are upright, you're aware, you're active, but you're very much rooted in this cross-legged position. So that connection between our full ready to go, but also are relaxed and grounded. And then we end class with this greeting, with this exchange. And this is a word in Sanskrit that is used on a daily basis. And I love in Nepal, a very simple translation is just I salute you. So thank you for a beautiful class, friends. I salute you. Namaste. Right on, friends. Thanks so much. As always, please, follow me on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share as it feels good to you. If you're in a situation where you are able to donate for the class, I've got my Venmo ID in the description of the video, so you can shoot me something. And if not, no worries. It's totally my gift to you. So have a beautiful one, and I will catch you next time.